Liam Carter had always been drawn to the unknown. The stars, with their silent twinkle, called to him in ways that nothing on Earth ever could. Now, standing on the surface of the planet Narathis, he felt a thrill of awe he could not contain. The air here was different, filled with a crisp, faintly metallic scent, and the sky glimmered with two suns casting long, golden shadows across strange, bioluminescent flora. This was not just another expedition. This was the moment he had prepared for his entire life. He adjusted the straps on his exploration pack and checked the small scanner in his hand. The device hummed softly, scanning the surrounding area for signs of life. There were readings, but nothing human-made. The jungle before him pulsed with colors that seemed impossible, yet somehow familiar, like reflections of deep thoughts he had never had. Liam took a cautious step forward, feeling the soft, almost sponge-like moss beneath his boots. The forest canopy was thick, but beams of sunlight filtered through, illuminating motes of dust that floated lazily in the air. Liam's curiosity was stronger than his caution. He had seen many alien worlds before through holographic simulations and reports, but this was different. This was real. He breathed deeply, savoring the new atmosphere, aware of how small he felt in the presence of something so magnificent. He had been exploring for hours when he first saw her. She appeared suddenly, like a vision from a dream. At first he thought it was a trick of the light, a reflection of the sun on the shimmering leaves, but no, she was real. The alien princess stood among the plants, her figure graceful and poised, her eyes large and luminous, almost reflecting the double suns above. Her skin shimmered faintly, a soft iridescence that changed with every subtle movement, and her clothing seemed to flow like water, made of materials Liam had never seen before. She froze as their eyes met. Liam felt a jolt of surprise. He had expected curiosity, perhaps caution, but not this complete stillness. She did not move, did not speak. She just stared at him, and for a moment Liam felt as though time itself had paused. "Hello," he said, trying to keep his voice calm and gentle. He raised a hand slowly, careful not to make any sudden movements that could be perceived as a threat. The princess did not respond. She tilted her head slightly, her large eyes never leaving his face. Liam felt a strange warmth in his chest, a sense that this was more than chance, more than a mere meeting. Something about him had triggered a reaction he could not yet understand. He took a cautious step forward, then another. "I mean you no harm," he said. "I'm just exploring." She remained frozen, and then, as quickly as she had appeared, she moved backward, almost gliding over the soft moss. Liam wanted to follow, to understand, but he hesitated. He did not want to frighten her. He watched as she disappeared into the forest, leaving only the faint shimmer of her presence behind. For several moments, Liam stood still, his mind racing. Why had she stopped? What did she see in him that made her hesitate? These were questions he could not answer, not yet. He shook his head slightly, trying to refocus. He had work to do, and perhaps there would be another chance to understand. As he continued exploring, he noticed something unusual near where she had stood. A small object, glowing faintly with soft, pulsing light, lay half-hidden among the roots of an enormous tree. Liam knelt and picked it up carefully. It was smooth and warm, shaped like a crystal, yet inside it seemed to hold tiny lights that danced and shifted as though alive. He turned it over in his hand, fascinated. "This is not natural," he whispered to himself. He activated his scanner, curious if the device would give him some insight. The readings were strange, unlike anything he had seen before. The crystal seemed to respond to him personally, its glow intensifying when he held it closer to his chest. "Why me?" he muttered, but there was no answer. Only the soft, pulsing light and the feeling of a strange connection that seemed to bridge worlds. He studied it carefully, imagining what kind of technology or magic could create something so alive yet so precise. As he continued to examine the crystal, Liam noticed subtle signs in the surrounding jungle. Leaves bent slightly as though touched by invisible hands, and small creatures scuttled away from paths he had not yet walked. The forest seemed aware, almost watching him as much as he watched it. The sense of wonder mingled with caution, creating a thrill that sent shivers down his spine. He remembered the princess. Her reaction had been so unusual, so strong. Most beings, he thought, would either flee or attack when faced with something unknown, but she had done neither. She had stopped, frozen in recognition, and then disappeared. The crystal seemed to confirm his suspicion. Whatever it was, it connected him to her in ways he could not yet understand. Night began to fall on Narathas, and the jungle transformed. The bioluminescent plants glowed brighter, casting surreal patterns of light on the forest floor. Liam set up his small camp near a stream, careful to remain visible but undisturbed. He placed the crystal on a flat rock nearby, watching it pulse gently in the dark. It was almost hypnotic, a soft rhythm that seemed to echo his own heartbeat. He thought about the stories he had heard about the alien civilizations on Narathas, tales of beings so advanced that their technology was indistinguishable from art, of cities hidden within forests and mountains, of rulers whose presence inspired awe across the galaxy. And now he had met one, not just any alien but a princess, and she had stopped when she saw him. The question gnawed at him. Why? Why did she hesitate? Why had she reacted in a way no other alien had? Liam knew there was a story here, something buried deep in history, perhaps even linked to humanity itself. He had heard legends of human explorers reaching distant worlds long before humans had the technology to travel beyond their solar system. Could there be a connection? Sleep came fitfully, his dreams filled with glowing forests and the image of the princess staring at him with those impossible wide eyes. When he awoke, the first light of Narathas, twin suns filtered through the trees, painting the jungle in gold and violet hues. Liam felt a sense of purpose settle over him. He had been chosen, in some way he did not yet understand, to uncover this mystery. He packed his equipment, carefully securing the crystal in a protective case. Every step he took seemed guided, almost as though the forest itself wanted him to follow a path. Hours passed as he navigated through the jungle, noting every unusual plant, every strange creature. The connection he felt with the crystal seemed to grow stronger, a quiet hum in his mind that made him aware of the subtle rhythms of the planet. Eventually, he reached a clearing where the light of the twin suns fell in perfect symmetry. And there she was again, the princess, standing at the edge of the clearing, her posture calm, almost serene. This time she did not move backward. She waited, and for the first time Liam noticed a hint of curiosity in her eyes rather than shock. He took a deep breath, approaching slowly. "I found this," he said, holding the crystal up. "I think it belongs to you." The princess tilted her head, examining the object with careful interest. Her fingers hovered just above it, but she did not take it. Liam realized then that this was more than a simple exchange. It was a test, a communication through silence. Hours passed in quiet observation. Liam and the princess studied each other without words. He noticed how she moved with precision, how she seemed to anticipate the subtle changes in the environment around her. He felt no fear, only fascination. Humanity, he thought, could learn so much from beings like her. Yet he also realized that his own instincts, his curiosity, and adaptability had allowed him to survive and engage in this encounter. Perhaps that was why she had stopped, why she had paused. She recognized in him something rare, something enduring. As the suns began to set, painting the sky in shades of crimson and sapphire, the princess finally stepped forward, her hand brushing against the crystal. A soft light enveloped it, and Liam felt a surge of understanding, almost as if a message passed between them without words. The jungle seemed to hold its breath. Then she spoke, a single word, clear and musical, yet alien in tone. Liam did not understand it fully, but the meaning was unmistakable. She was inviting him to follow. And so, with his heart pounding in anticipation, Liam stepped into the unknown, ready to uncover the secrets of Narathas and the mystery behind the princess's frozen gaze. Liam followed the princess carefully, his senses alert to every sound and movement in the alien jungle. The air had cooled slightly as the twin suns began their slow descent, casting long shadows across the moss-covered ground. He felt the crystal vibrating faintly in his pocket, as though urging him onward. Its glow pulsed softly, matching the rhythm of his heartbeat, and he could not help but feel that it held secrets meant only for him. The princess moved with a grace that seemed almost unnatural, her feet barely making a sound on the soft moss. Liam had learned quickly not to rush her, to match her pace, and to observe everything around him. The jungle was alive in ways he had never imagined, vines that twisted like serpents, flowers that shimmered like liquid light, and trees so tall their tops disappeared into the thick, glowing canopy. It was a world that demanded respect, and Liam felt a quiet reverence for its beauty. After some time, they reached a narrow passage between two enormous trees. The princess paused, turning to look at him. For the first time, she gestured with her hands, delicate, precise movements that seemed like a language of their own. Liam studied her gestures, and slowly the meaning became clear. Follow, but with care. He nodded and she smiled faintly, the first sign of emotion he had seen from her. The passage opened into a hidden valley, bathed in a soft, golden light. In the center, a city sprawled, unlike anything Liam had seen before. The buildings were organic in shape, rising from the ground like living creatures. Walls shimmered with colors that shifted as the sun touched them, and bridges arched gracefully over streams that sparkled with crystal-clear water. It was a city built not just for living, but for harmony with the world around it. Liam felt a surge of wonder. He had read about alien civilizations that valued technology over nature, but this was different. Here, every structure seemed to breathe, to exist in a careful balance with the forest. He realized that the princess's people must have mastered a kind of science that combined art, nature, and intellect in ways humans had only dreamed of. The princess led him to a central plaza, where a pool reflected the twin suns, creating dazzling patterns on the nearby buildings. Small creatures with translucent wings flitted around, glowing softly. Liam noticed that these creatures did not shy away from him. Instead, they hovered curiously, as if recognizing the human among the alien forms. He knelt by the pool, holding the crystal. Its light had grown stronger since they entered the city, and Liam felt a connection he could not explain. It was as if the crystal were reading his thoughts, responding to his presence. He glanced at the princess, who was watching him intently, and he realized she was waiting for him to understand something important. Liam raised the crystal and examined it closely. The inner lights shifted and rearranged themselves, forming patterns that reminded him of star maps. He remembered the stories he had read about early human explorers who had traveled to distant planets centuries before interstellar travel was common. Could it be possible that this crystal recorded the history of such explorers? He touched the crystal gently, and suddenly a holographic image sprang to life above it. Liam stepped back, awestruck. The image showed a human, a tall figure in a strange suit, moving through a forest that looked almost like this one. But there was something different, something that made the image feel alive, as if the person were aware of being watched. Liam's breath caught. He recognized the features, even though he had never seen them before. This was a distant ancestor, one of the first humans to make contact with alien civilizations. The crystal seemed to confirm what he had suspected. The princess's reaction earlier was not fear or surprise, but recognition. His lineage had left a mark, a legacy that transcended time and space. The princess stepped closer, her eyes wide. She extended her hands toward the hologram, and the light seemed to respond to her presence, shifting and pulsing in rhythm with her movements. Liam realized that her species had a unique ability to sense connections across generations, to detect individuals whose ancestors had achieved great feats. This is incredible, he whispered, feeling a mix of pride and humility. Humanity, he thought, had always dreamed of reaching the stars, but here was proof that their efforts had resonated far beyond Earth. The princess finally spoke, though her voice was not words Liam understood. Instead, it was melodic, a sequence of tones that vibrated softly in the air. He could feel the meaning rather than hear it. She was welcoming him, acknowledging his presence, and inviting him to learn. Liam spent the next hours exploring the city under her guidance. He marveled at the way technology and nature coexisted. Buildings responded to the movements of the inhabitants, adjusting light and temperature automatically. Gardens grew in patterns that seemed both natural and mathematically precise. Streams flowed through the city, carrying water that glowed softly with nutrients beneficial to both plants and animals. He noticed that the people of the city paid attention to him, observing him with curiosity rather than suspicion. It was clear that the princess had communicated something about him to them, though Liam did not know what. He felt a sense of acceptance, a quiet honor that made his chest swell with emotion. As the day wore on, the princess led him to a tall structure at the heart of the city. Its walls shimmered like liquid glass, and the entrance seemed to welcome him. Inside, Liam found a library of sorts, though unlike any library he had ever known. Crystalline structures floated in the air, each containing vast amounts of information. Holographic images and symbols danced gently, waiting for interaction. He approached one of the crystals and held the first one out. The lights within shifted, revealing images of human explorers, scientists, and artists. Humans who had contributed to knowledge and culture in ways that resonated across galaxies. Liam felt a connection he could not explain. Each image seemed to recognize him, acknowledging the continuity of humanity's achievements. "This is history," he whispered, feeling a surge of pride. Humanity's story was not just confined to Earth. It had traveled across space, leaving traces that advanced civilizations could detect. He realized that the princess's reaction earlier had been an instinctive recognition of that legacy, a mark of respect that transcended language and culture. Hours passed in the library, and Liam learned more than he could have imagined. The princess guided him, showing him how to interact with the crystals, how to access information, and how to understand the subtle connections between different civilizations. He discovered that the crystal he carried was not just a historical record, but also a tool for understanding relationships across species, a way to see patterns and connections that ordinary senses could not perceive. At one point, Liam paused and looked at the princess. She watched him silently, her expression calm yet full of curiosity. He realized that while she was royalty, she was also a student of the universe, just as he was. Their roles were different, but their curiosity was the same. Humanity and this alien civilization shared a love of discovery, a drive to explore, to understand, and to connect. As the twin suns began to rise again, casting a new light over the city, Liam felt a sense of purpose solidify within him. He was not here by accident. The crystal, the princess, and the city itself had chosen him in some way. Humanity had left its mark on the galaxy, and now it was his responsibility to honor that legacy, to learn and to contribute. Before he slept that night, he returned to the plaza and held the crystal close. Its light pulsed softly, as if in approval. The princess stood beside him, her presence reassuring. Liam thought about the future, about the adventures and discoveries that awaited him. He understood now that exploration was not just about seeing new worlds. It was about understanding connections, building bridges, and leaving behind a legacy worthy of recognition. The city around them was quiet, alive in ways both visible and invisible. Liam knew that tomorrow would bring new discoveries, new lessons, and perhaps answers to the questions that had first brought him to Nerathes. The mystery of the princess's reaction, the history of his ancestors, and the potential for human achievement all intertwined, creating a tapestry of wonder that he was only beginning to comprehend. As he drifted into sleep, he felt the crystal's warmth against his chest and the quiet presence of the princess nearby. The jungle hummed softly, a lullaby of life and curiosity. Liam understood more deeply than ever that humanity's strength lay not in weapons or dominance, but in curiosity, adaptability, and the courage to reach beyond the familiar. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and mysteries, but for the first time, Liam felt a true sense of belonging. He was part of a story much larger than himself, a story of connection, recognition, and the enduring impact of human ingenuity. And as the suns rose once more over Nerathes, he knew that this was only the beginning. Liam woke slowly as soft light filled the city. The twin suns had risen higher, and their glow reflected gently from the living buildings around him. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he remembered the crystal, the princess, and the incredible truth about humanity's forgotten legacy. He sat up and looked around. The city was already awake, though there was no noise or rush. Everything moved with calm purpose. The princess stood nearby, watching the city from a high terrace. Her posture was relaxed, yet thoughtful. Liam noticed that she seemed different now, more open, less distant. When she turned and saw him awake, she gave a small nod, a gesture he now understood as a greeting. Liam stood and walked beside her. From the terrace, he could see far into the forest beyond the city. The jungle shimmered in the morning light, alive and peaceful. He felt a strange emotion rise in his chest. It was not fear or excitement, but something deeper, responsibility. The crystal in his hand pulsed softly, and this time Liam did not feel confused by it. He felt guided. Images formed in his mind, not as clear pictures, but as ideas. He understood that the crystal was not just reacting to his past, but to his choices in the present. The princess spoke again, her voice calm and musical. Though the words were still not fully clear, Liam understood the meaning. She was telling him that her people had waited a long time. Long ago, humans had come to this world not as conquerors, but as learners. They had shared ideas, curiosity, and respect. Over time, humans disappeared from the stars and the memory became legend. Her people believed humans were gone forever, but the crystal had never gone silent. It waited for someone who carried the same spirit. When Liam arrived, the crystal awakened fully for the first time in generations. That was why she had frozen when she saw him. To her people, that reaction was not fear. It was recognition and honor. Liam felt humbled. He had grown up thinking humanity was still struggling to find its place among the stars. Now he realized that humanity had already touched the galaxy in ways history had forgotten. Not through force, but through kindness, patience, and imagination. They walked through the city together as the princess showed him more. Liam saw places of learning where young beings studied the stars, places of creation where art and science blended, and quiet spaces where people simply sat and listened to the planet itself. At the center of the city, they entered a wide chamber open to the sky. Other leaders were gathered there. They did not speak loudly or stare, but Liam could feel their attention. The princess stepped forward, and the crystal responded, rising gently from Liam's hand and floating between them. Images filled the air again, but this time they showed more than the past. They showed possible futures. Humans and aliens working together, sharing knowledge, exploring unknown regions of space. The leaders watched carefully, their expressions thoughtful. Liam realized something important in that moment. They were not deciding whether to trust him. They were deciding whether to trust humanity again. He took a slow breath and stepped forward. He did not make grand promises. He did not speak of power or expansion. Instead, he spoke of curiosity. He spoke of humans as they truly were, imperfect, creative, stubborn, and endlessly curious. He spoke of humanity's desire not to rule the stars, but to understand them. The crystal glowed brighter as he spoke, as if confirming his words. The leaders exchanged quiet looks. The princess watched him closely, her eyes steady. Finally, she raised her hand, and the room grew still. She spoke with clarity and strength. Her words carried weight, not because of authority alone, but because of truth. She declared that humanity had returned, not as strangers, but as remembered friends. A gentle warmth spread through the chamber. It was not celebration, but acceptance. Liam felt his chest tighten with emotion. Humanity had been given a second chance, not through conquest or demand, but through legacy and trust. Later that day, Liam stood alone near the edge of the city, looking at the stars that were beginning to appear even before the suns fully set. The princess joined him, standing quietly at his side. She showed him another vision through the crystal. It revealed a truth that surprised him. Long ago, her people had feared becoming stagnant. Their technology had advanced, but their imagination had begun to fade. Humans, when they first arrived, had changed that. Humans asked strange questions. They explored ideas without clear goals. That unpredictability had inspired her people to grow in new ways. When humans disappeared, that spark faded. Seeing Liam awakened that memory and that hope. Liam understood then that HFY was not about humans being stronger or smarter. It was about humans being different, about their ability to adapt, to dream, and to keep moving forward even when forgotten. As night fully settled, the city lights glowed softly. Liam knew his mission was not finished. He would return to human space. He would share this truth. Humanity was not alone, and it never truly had been. Before he left, the princess gave him the crystal. Not as a gift, but as a responsibility. It was now bonded to him fully, a bridge between worlds. When Liam finally boarded his ship and lifted off from Nerathes, he looked down at the glowing city one last time. He felt no sadness, only purpose. As his ship entered the stars, the crystal pulsed steadily. Humanity's story was moving forward again, not through violence, not through fear, but through connection. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, ancient legends began to awaken, because humanity had been remembered and chosen once more.